Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we feel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. A 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the final 3 hours of Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. I'm your host for this afternoon, Khadija Dangor, with you for the next 3 hours as we close off Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. But for those of you who've just tuned in, let's take a step back to the beginning. Who is Career Indaba? Career Indaba is a non-profit company incorporated in South Africa under the Companies Act. What are we about? Well, we're a digital-first multimedia employment network dedicated to driving employability, skills development, entrepreneurship, and labor market transformation, not just across Southern Africa, but in all of Africa. And I join you live this afternoon from a boardroom in Botswana. Career Indaba is a radio channel which is all about transforming dialogue, transforming it into action, transforming it into pathways, transforming dialogue into inclusive economic participation across the continent. Impact Week took place this week from the 27th to the 31st of October. Purpose. I'm your Deputy Board Chairperson, Khadija, and I'll be with you in the final 3 hours talking SME Drive. We'll be covering industrialization, green jobs, and we'll be talking to entrepreneurs and development boards to talk about things happening all over the continent. Let's recap though, before we have our guests join us in studio. This week, we had some wonderful programs which spotlight real issues facing the continent's labor market, from job creation to labor market transformation, SME development, and youth employability. We connected listeners to real-time opportunities such as jobs, internships, you joining this multi-platform broadcast activation campaign as we unite thought leaders, we unite entrepreneurs, we unite people with a shared goal of advancing economic inclusion. Career Indaba serves as a continent-driven leadership initiative with an opportunity to showcase employment and economic inclusion. Here in Indaba Impact Week Those guys are looking for you to connect with you. We all of to real people in real time. To it gives me great to introduce two guests from the island of Mauritius. Our first guest is Mr. Janesh Roy Dukan. Mr. Janesh I don't want to tell you all about him. I need to give you an opportunity for him to introduce himself. But Mr. Janesh is all about promoting trade and investment through diplomacy. Mr. Janesh, maybe he's there. We go. Hi, Mr. Janesh.
Good
Thank
evening.
you so much for joining us. Mr.
Good
Janesh,
evening to the viewers and good evening to the viewers and listeners of Career Indaba. It's my singular honor and pleasure to join you today from the Economic Development Board of Mauritius. So the Economic Development Board of Mauritius is the national investment promotion agency that operates under the aegis of the Ministry of Finance. So the Economic Development Board, it's the leading government agency mandated to provide strong institutional support for strategic economic planning and to promote Mauritius as an attractive investment and business center, a comprehensive export platform, as well as an international financial center. The overarching objective of the EDB is to ensure greater coherence and effectiveness in implementing policies and draw the vision for the economic development path to be adopted to reach a high-income economy status through sustainable and inclusive growth while ensuring economic independence. The EDB also acts as the main institution responsible for country branding, for investment promotion, to facilitate both inward and outward investment, and ensure a conducive business environment. So in a nutshell, the EDB is the government agency mandated for trade promotion, investment promotion, country branding, and policy making. And we do work in close collaboration with ministries, with embassies, with chambers of commerce and industries, and captains of industries, among others, to drive economic progress forward. So the topic today is about SMEs and its contribution to the local economy. So similarly to other countries, SMEs play a very vital and important role to the economy of Mauritius. So with a contribution of about 40% to the country's GDP and representing 54.6% of total employment, small and medium enterprises in Mauritius are bound to become a major pillar of the economy. Indeed, as per the budgets to date and Vision 2030, SMEs are called to assume a more impactful role in the economy, not only as an enabler, but as a key driver of inclusive and balanced growth. We have another government agency, which is the SME Mauritius Limited, which has also proved to be instrumental in providing the desired institutional support to SMEs. SME Mauritius is running various schemes to develop internal capability, improve the competitiveness and productivity of enterprises. And we have various schemes, including first, the Business Transformation Scheme, which gives access to a pool of consultants to review, among others, business models, business processes, and organizational structures of SMEs. The second scheme is the Market Readiness Scheme, which covers marketing design, packaging, branding, international listing of barcode, among others, to get SMEs to be export ready. Sometimes we can have an SME that has a very good product locally, but they are not ready for exports. And export readiness is key if an entrepreneur wants to reach international markets. Third one, it's the Technology and Innovation Scheme, which covers website development, digital solutions, cloud solutions, among others. The fourth scheme is Greening Support Scheme, which covers renewables, recycling, water treatment, energy conservation, EMS standards, among others. And the fifth one is the Agri Business Scheme, which covers food processing, agri implements, aquaponics, utility connections, among others. Now we have another laudable scheme which was put in place, which regards SME employment scheme. Now this scheme is being run in Mauritius since 2018, and it concerns mainly the placement of diploma, degree, and technical and vocational training holders in SMEs. Now, a monthly stipend is paid to those categories of labor by the government. Technically, if you see it, the scheme is a win-win situation for both the enterprise and the trainee. In addition to boosting employability of youngsters, it also provides SMEs with an injection of fresh talents to support their development. Now, SME Mauritius has been playing an active role in capacity building of existing and aspiring entrepreneurs. Now, another aspect that I'm going to cover is training programs that are available for SMEs, including garment making, leather products and accessories, eco bag making, event and floral deco, creative arts and jewelry, social media content creation, backyard and commercial aquaponics, upcycling course, pastry, bakery, culinary, beauty care, and grooming, among others. So there are many programs that are available for young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs who want to join the labor market, who want to join the local economy, the regional economy, and be export ready to be able to access international markets. And it is worth mentioning that Mauritius is signatory to many trade agreements, including SADC, COMESA, the AFCFTA, and other trade agreements regionally and internationally. And if an economic operator is operating to Mauritius, so that economic operator can get preferential market access to over 70% of the world population by operating from Mauritius. Now, consecutive budgets presented by the government have devoted substantial financing plans for SMEs. Considerable efforts have been made to ease SMEs' access to capital as well, because today we require capital for business development, and access to financing for SMEs is key to enable incubators to be able to set up business and grow and prosper. To further promote the products and services of SMEs, the government has also set up an e-SME directory. It is an online business directory of SMEs categorized by sector and district for the public to easily contact and locate an SME. Now, the Economic Development Board of Mauritius has launched the virtual exhibition platform, Mauritius Expo, in July 2023, as a commitment to the development of the Mauritian industry by promoting locally manufactured products and services. The objective of this innovative and permanent platform is to increase the visibility of Mauritian enterprises and to reach new markets by connecting to an ever-growing pool of potential customers. Now, when we talk of SMEs, it is worth mentioning that women are part and parcel of SMEs in Mauritius, and women have not been left apart. So I'm going to now cover the key actions to empower women entrepreneurs in Mauritius to trade with Africa. Now, Mauritius is actively
So I was
promoting...
going there. I was going to say, you haven't mentioned women in SMEs, but you beat me to it. So thank you for that.
Now, Mauritius is actively promoting the internalization of women-led enterprises and enhancing their ability to engage in intra-African trade through a network of strategic initiatives. We have a Sheet Trades Mauritius Hub, which has been launched in March 2023 by the Economic Development Board in partnership with the International Trade Center, which supports women entrepreneurs with capacity building, peer learning, and market access events. The Sheet Trades Mauritius Hub is a powerful catalyst for empowering women entrepreneurs, equipping them with skills, networks, and market access to seize opportunities under the AFCFTA with a market of over 1.4 billion people. Through targeted capacity building programs in export readiness, international trade, AI and digital marketing, social media and marketing, B2B matchmaking, and regional missions, it strengthens the capacity of women-led businesses to expand beyond the borders of Mauritius. Today, with over 300 members in sectors ranging from consulting and textiles to handicrafts, wellness, and agro-processing, the hub not only drives cross-border collaboration, but also highlights the critical role of women entrepreneurs as engines of economic growth, innovation, and inclusive trade in Mauritius and across Africa. So this was the introduction from my part.
Thank you, Mr. Dukan. It's very encouraging to hear all the wonderful initiatives being run by the Economic Development Board. And for me, more encouraging this afternoon as I invite an entrepreneur from Mauritius to join us. We have a beautiful story coming up, a story about passion, a story about creativity, and a story about purpose from the island of Mauritius. Our second guest today, joining us with Mr. Dukan, is Mr. Ashad Boiru, co-founder of My Tea Box, a proudly Mauritian tea brand, transforming local flavors into global experience. And I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to get the Economic Development Board with an SME from Mauritius to connect, to show you what Career Indaba is all about. We're about real connections, real dialogue, and making things happen. Mr. Ashad, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Khadija. Bonjour, everybody.
Bonjour, bonjour. We know there's a time difference. I'm sitting in Botswana and my two guests are sitting in Mauritius, but so I should say good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Ashad. Ashad, My Tea Box has... Good evening. Ashad, My Tea Box has become one of Mauritius's most exciting brands. I mean, I see you all over social media. You're doing fantastic things with fantastic branding. How did your journey begin and what inspired you?
Thank you much. We have to go quite a long way back for my love affair with tea. I discovered tea in my late teens. I was living in Botswana at the time, if you can imagine. And I discovered this thing called green tea. And I found it was healthy. And then I discovered they had something called flavored green tea, which an extra element to...
Seems like we've lost Mr. Ashad there.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Let's see if we can get him back.
I go offline.
Yes, are you back? You did.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
not a problem. I'll listen.
Technical.
Waiting.
Apologize for that.
So we seem to be having some
Okay, can you
technical
hear me now?
issues. We are speaking live from various different countries. I myself, as stated, am in Botswana. Mr. Ashad is in Mauritius. Mr. Dukan has also joined us from Mauritius. Mr. Dukan, maybe while we have Mr. Ashad sorting out his technical problems, tell us practically how can an SME like Mr. Ashad, who has a growing tea business, how can he come to you and get export ready? Because as far as I know, Mr. Ashad is currently operating on the island predominantly. What did give him, and what does he need to prepare to come to the EDB to get export ready?
Now, normally, to be export ready, the Economic Development Board, in consultation with international partners, consultants, do organize various capacity building sessions to equip the entrepreneurs like Mr. Ashad to be export ready. Now, export ready, it's not only about having a good idea or a good product, but it's being able to commercialize that business idea, that business plan to a viable option through exporting. And it's also good mentioning that when we talk of exports today, exporting has two segments: export of goods and export of services. And in the case of Mr. Ashad, so it's export of goods. And we have to bear in mind that today, in the digital world that we live, export covers both goods and services. So very often we tend to focus only on goods, and we tend to neglect the services part. But we have seen that in the post-COVID era, so many SMEs have started their business by being digital. We were born truly as digital companies, and today with digitalization, so SMEs can operate globally without regard to borders and with e-commerce and logistics. So it becomes very easy for them to do business nowadays. Now, export ready covers various modules. It's about like, you can have a good product, but it needs to be export ready. And by export readiness, to be able to enter, like, for example, European markets, for instance, you need to get accredited for your product to get into that country. And that export readiness needs certification, It's packaging, it's branding, it's marketing, it's financing, access to finance, and so many other aspects and topics that are covered under various capacity building programs. And it is worth mentioning that the government of Mauritius, it has a scheme for SMEs regarding the marketing support scheme. Now, that SME marketing support scheme covers market accessibility and competitiveness in both local and export markets, and respond to the more stringent requirements to diverse customer bases. And through these schemes, so SMEs get the opportunity to go to trade fairs and roadshows to market their products under the Mauritius banner. And the government of Mauritius normally organizes export missions to various countries regionally and internationally, and also participates in international trade fairs. And the SMEs get part of their travel cost, accommodation cost, and marketing cost covered by the government of Mauritius.
The Economic Development Board, and I know that you're pressed for time today. Any kind of closing thoughts before we move over to Mr. Arshad?
Now, Mauritius, we have been a land of immigrants, and compared to various other African countries, we are very limited in resources in the sense that we don't have oil and gas, minerals, diamonds, land, and the only resource that Mauritius has is renewable. It's renewable resources in terms of its human capital. And government believes in the human capital of Mauritius, and this is why post-independence period education is free in Mauritius for all citizens from pre-primary up to tertiary level. And for me, it's because of investment in the human capital that Mauritius has been able to diversify its economic sectors from the sugar to textile to tourism, ICT, financial services, the silver economy, medical devices, lab sciences, among so many subsectors of the economy. And to drive a business, you need human capital, you need people. And for us, for the government, and also for us as Economic Development Board, we believe in the human capital of Mauritius to transform the economy to a high-income economy. And any investment that is done in human capital in terms of training, capacity building, export readiness will reap its benefits in the sense that we will be able to position Mauritius on the global landscape.
Thank you, Mr. Dukan. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, and thank you to the Economic Development Board for spending time with us this afternoon in explaining all the various schemes that are available. I'm going to probably ask you at some point to get all of that to us so that we can put it on our website, so that job seekers and SMEs and inspiring entrepreneurs can have access to this information and can have access to these schemes. That's the aim of Career Indaba, is really to help job seekers, to help the unemployed, to help inspiring entrepreneurs. And we thank you for being part of this journey and for joining us this afternoon.
If I add one last thing, Mauritius, we are also open to foreign talent. So foreigners can get to work, live or return Mauritius through the various schemes and permits that the government of Mauritius has in place. So we do have a website, it's residency.mu, and this website gives information about the different permit categories, ranging from investor category, professional category, self-employed category, and also retired category. And we also have a new category that was added recently for the employment of young professionals in various sectors of the economy, because labor is a challenge here in Mauritius, especially that we are an aging population, and we have many citizens who have migrated abroad for overseas studies, and who didn't come back. And labor is a key issue today, whether we talk about blue collar and white collar segments. So labor, every entrepreneur that we will meet will tell you that labor is a challenge nowadays. Well, of course, automation is here, but we cannot fully automate all sectors of the economy. So through these various schemes, Mauritius is able to attract foreign talents to come and work in the economy of Mauritius.
So don't tempt me, Mr. Dukan. I heard about a foreign residency. I hope I fall under the definition of young employment, young talent. Clearly not. But if I get tired of a landlocked country, I'll be knocking on your door. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you today. I would have loved to have spent more time with you, but I do understand that you have another commitment. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Khadija, and thank you to the team.
Thank you, Mr. Dukan. And we will be in touch and we will try and get all of that on our website so that, as I've said, so that we can get people in touch with the Economic Development Board, we can make the connections and we can help where we can. That's what we're all about. Thank you, Mr. Dukan, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Let's shift gears back to tea. And I see you're having a cup of tea in your My Tea Box mug. So you were still telling us about what inspired you and your journey.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was having a few technical difficulties with my connection. So yeah, I grew up in Botswana and I discovered this thing called green tea, and eventually I found things called flavored green tea, and I found that they've got these amazing flavors like blueberry or chocolate and things like that, and I immediately fell in love, and it's something that has stayed with me ever since my late teens. So if you fast forward a few years later, it was around 2014, I moved from Botswana to Mauritius. I got engaged, and then together with my fiance, we started experimenting with trying new teas together. So we'd buy all sorts of different flavored teas, and I'm sure a lot of people who drink tea can relate to this. We had a cupboard in our house that was full of only tea. There was nothing in there but tea, overflowing with tea. And so it became a journey that we shared together. It was something that connected us and brought us closer together. And then we got married in 2015. And as it happened, we went on honeymoon to Cape Town. And in Cape Town, we came across something called specialty tea. And we were like, well, what is this? What is specialty tea? And it turns out that there was a whole different category of tea where the tea was of higher quality and they had things like dried fruits and edible flowers and different flavors in there. And instantly we would just, it opened a whole different world for us. And so now specialty tea became something that was part of our vocabulary and became something that's part of our lives. And we went on the search for specialty tea. Wherever we traveled, we would seek out specialty tea. And then during the COVID pandemic, when everything was on lockdown, our stocks of specialty tea started to run out, and we had no idea what to do, and we couldn't find the sort of tea that we liked on the island. And we started talking. We thought, well, look, Mauritius is a tea-producing island. Why is it that nobody is producing that sort of tea that we love so much? And if we love this tea, surely other people must as well. So we started experimenting in our kitchen, different flavorings, different combinations, and we started giving it out to friends and family and like, taste this, try this, and the feedback was really good. So yeah, we launched in October of 2020 in the middle of COVID. We said, let's just launch online and see what happens. Feedback was good, people loved it, and yeah, just one day at a time we've been taking it, and here we are almost 5 years later, and we've got distribution points all across the island now, and yeah, we're just growing, and it's been an amazing journey and something we shared together, and we co-founded a startup together. It's a brilliant, fun journey.
Thank you, Arshad, for sharing your journey. Certainly a journey and a story of passion and a story of love. They say when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, and it certainly seems to be that way for you and your wife now wife. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I see your teas are very much inspired by Mauritian culture. You've explained your love for specialty teas, but your teas are inspired by Mauritian culture and local treats. How do you turn cultural inspiration into sustainable business innovation?
That's a really good question. So I think there's two parts to this question. First, there's the cultural part of it and the tea part of it, and then there's the sustainability part of it. So if we're talking about the culture part of it, we started off just by making flavors that we ourselves would like, so things like chocolate and mint, Halloween flavors like pumpkin spice and things like that. But then at some point we thought, well, you know what? We are Mauritian. We live in Mauritius. Our roots are from here. Why don't we try making some flavors that are more relatable to the people from Mauritius, and making tea that Mauritian people would be able to look at and feel a sense of ownership for, and feel like it's something that they are proud of. So we started experimenting again, like we always do. It's like our kitchen's like a laboratory, and we started experimenting and coming up with flavors. So we've got flavors, for example, traditional coconut ice cream, which is something you find in Mauritius, pickled pineapple, pickled mango with chili, things that are very unique to the island. And then we started tailoring our packaging to sort of mimic those treats that you find on the island, and we created a whole experience behind it. So whether you're a Mauritian person who picks up the tea, and you can feel like this is something you really relate to and something you really understand, it's part of your culture and you can celebrate it. Or if you are a tourist or visit to Mauritius, it's something you can take home with you, and it will remind you of the amazing times that you have on this beautiful island. When it comes to sustainability,
Mango and chili sounds very, very interesting. I've got to try it. I'm going to be in Mauritius this December, and I'd love to try it. It does certainly sound interesting.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be happy to share a cup with you.
That will be amazing. That will be amazing.
And when we talk about the sustainability aspect of it, it's something that's always been very important to us right from the get-go. But like most SMEs and micro SMEs in our situation, it can prove a bit difficult when you're trying to implement sustainability because of the high costs involved most of the times. But we do what we can. So, for example, we try not to use any single-use plastics and things like that. And we're always trying to just look to the future, and perhaps hopefully our goal is to grow to such a point where we can have a positive impact on our supply chain and help them to implement more sustainable practices in their operations. So for example, when it comes to sourcing of tea, when it comes to plantations, ensuring that they've got safe working conditions and things like that. Inclusivity for women as well, very important to us. Right now, we're very small, so it's difficult to impact that, but it's definitely something we've got planned for the future.
Well, it's certainly encouraging to know that these things are on your mind and things that you're thinking about and in your kind of long-term strategic objectives. So kudos to you on that. Tell us, what role do you think SMEs like Mighty Box play in promoting kind of green jobs and in sustainable industrialization?
I think again, when you're an SME, it's very difficult to have an impact on these sort of things at the policy level. So if you're trying to shift policy and you've got a very small footprint like ours, it can prove very, very tricky. But what you can do is you can try to be agile, and you can try to adapt very, very easily and very quickly because you've got so much less red tape. You're a smaller enterprise. So when it comes to adapting to sustainability, incorporating new practices that perhaps don't have such a bigger impact on your bottom line, it's very easy to do. You can also sort of play outside the traditional rules a bit. So you can choose to purposely operate in a more sustainable role, even if it impacts your bottom line a little bit. You you've got more leeway to do that, I think. When it comes to the green jobs, I can only talk from our personal experience. It's a bit difficult to hire people when you can't afford to pay them. So I can't really say we have an impact on green jobs, but I think larger SMEs definitely can promote hiring more greener jobs. Yeah.
Thank you, Arshad. I'm certainly looking forward to trying your teas. I think you've touched on earlier single-use plastic, and it seems to be a big buzzword at the moment. And you go into restaurants, and people are no longer giving you plastic straws, and people are doing away with plastic bottles. So
Yeah.
sustainability is certainly top of mind for a lot of entrepreneurs, for a lot of business owners. What have you done, and how have you approached your branding and packaging aside from kind of the single-use plastic? But what have you done to look at an eco-conscious branding strategy or an eco-conscious packaging strategy so that you can shift towards sustainability?
Yeah, that's a huge issue these days, and it's something that I think it's more than just a buzzword. It's something that people really are conscious about nowadays. On our side, what happened was we got a contract to work with Attitude Hotels here in Mauritius, and they are very forward thinking when it comes to sustainability, and they've got an absolute 0% plastic policy at their hotel. So we had to shift our packaging from using these sort of craft paper packages that were lined with plastic, and we had to shift and find new packaging. We moved to metal tins that are actually produced locally in Mauritius. And those have actually turned out to be our main products now that we push, not just at the hotels, but everywhere now, because they're more sustainable. People like that fact as well. We've got our tea bags, of course, are paper based, but our plan from the beginning has always been to try to use fully compostable tea bags. It's a bit tricky for us right now because of financial restraints, of course, because of the size of our operations. But it's already something that we've earmarked for the next 3 to 5 years to start implementing fully compostable tea bags, moving to fully compostable packaging as well. We've done research on that. We've seen that people are doing that in other industries, and it's something that we want to mimic in the future.
Thank you, Arshad. Let's pause for a short break, and we'll be back right after this to continue our journey with Arshad Goiru from Mighty Box Mauritius.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover, a 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce. This is not just another talk show. It's the pulse check of a working continent. The job market, where policy meets people and numbers meet names. From factories to futures, from data to dignity. We don't just count jobs, we build them. The job market, only on Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover.
If you've just joined us, welcome back. Welcome back to SME Drive on Career Indaba Impact Week. I'm Khadija Dangor, joined in studio live with Arshad. Arshad is the co-founder of My Tea Box from Mauritius. So today we are looking at the Boardroom Takeover. I'm joining you live from Botswana, our boardroom here in Botswana, and we are talking about a story of passion. We're talking about a story of creativity. We're talking about a story of purpose, a story about love, a story about love for tea. Arshad, thanks for joining us. And for those who've just tuned in, please tell us, young listeners, tell all those entrepreneurs out there, all those young listeners out there, what lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur yourself.
Thanks for having me. That's a very broad question. I think you learn so much, and honestly, I think going into entrepreneurship.
Haven't till 6, so go for it.
Yeah, I think that going into entrepreneurship. Yeah, I think that when you go into entrepreneurship, the lessons that you learn are honestly something that no school can ever teach you. Unfortunately, I really wish that schools would teach you more about these things, but I think that it's something that you can only learn from experience. And I think if we're talking about some of the main things I've learned, I think you can talk about being resilient and having conviction in what you're doing, because it will get tough. It's something that you can't avoid. It will get tough. It will get difficult. There will definitely be days where you question yourself and you start to question your own sanity sometimes. Yeah, and you've just
as a corporate girl myself, I always feel that entrepreneurship is risky. Not having that salary at the end of every month. Tell us how you've powered through to kind of push the barriers in your space.
I love that you've referred to yourself as a corporate girl, because I myself was someone who was part of the corporate world at the beginning of my career. That was in 2017. I worked in the corporate environment for 3 years. And then the one thing about me is that I tend to jump into things very quickly. And so I quickly decided that the corporate life just wasn't for me. I couldn't do it. And I wanted to go into consulting with 3 years of work experience and entry-level job. I thought, hey, I'm going to do consulting, and I'm going to consult on sustainability of all things. And that turned out not great, to say the least. And for 3 years, I floated around, not really doing much. Actually, I didn't have a job for 3 years. I was living at my in-laws, and I felt like I was a burden to everybody around. And then, eventually in 2020, this idea of the tea, which was something I loved for as long as I could remember, just sort of like a light bulb went off my head, and I said, let me try it. And suddenly I had this passion that was ignited within me, and it was sort of like something I had to do, regardless of the fact that I would have no guaranteed income. There was no guarantee it was going to work. It was just something I had to do. It was an itch that had to be scratched. And talking about love, I was lucky, and I'm still lucky enough that the person that I love the most, my wife, supported me and came on this journey with me. And without her support, without that love and support, not just as my wife, but as my co-founder, I don't think I would have gotten to where I am right now. And so I think that one of the key traits that you have to have is that passion that you're talking about. And that's one of the things that will help you to not mitigate the risks, but almost be stubborn and blindly go into things. And if you're going to go into entrepreneurship, you have to be comfortable with taking risks. You've got to be comfortable with living outside your comfort zone, and just accept that that's part of the game that we play.
Thank you. Those are some very, very valuable lessons about risk taking, about grit, about determination, about being agile. And I think these are some of the things that our young listeners should hopefully, these are gems, young listeners. So please take those away with you. Thank you for sharing that, Arshad. What advice would you give as aspiring entrepreneurs of any age who really want to build a purpose driven, creative business and who want to make an impact like you are? I mean, you've mentioned earlier you're sourcing all your tins locally from Mauritius, you're sourcing your teas from Mauritius. So I can see the purpose and the impact, not just for you, but for the whole island. So please share some advice for our younger, well, not only younger, for all our viewers and all our aspiring listeners out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm about to share, it also applies to myself as well. It's something that I need to constantly keep telling myself, and that is that we spend, and not just the young people, all of us, I think these days, we spend a lot of our time on social media, and especially when you're young and you're hungry and desperate, you see a lot of people online who are quote unquote influencers and showing you this amazing flashy lifestyle that they're living, and they're in 5-star hotels and flying private jets. And then on the other hand, you get all these business gurus and startup gurus who are like, hey, follow my course, join my masterclass, and I guarantee you success. With the snap of your finger, you can achieve your dreams. And what we've learned, and we've had to learn the hard way, is that it's not like that at all. Because what they don't tell you is that it comes with a lot of sacrifice. Like you mentioned earlier, you don't have a steady income, you don't have that job security. It's something that's very scary to wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Where's my next paycheck going to come from? So, my advice would be focus on building things that solve real world problems that people are facing. So in our example, we couldn't find the tea that we love and that other people love. And we thought, well, how can we solve this problem? And we focused on that, on bringing something that people would love and solving a problem, rather than focusing on how can I make the most money? How can I have content to post and to show people what I'm doing? It's not about that. So focus on your mission, focus on what you're doing, and block all that other stuff out. And another thing that has helped me a lot and still helps me to this day, it's something that I still do, is I listen to a lot of business podcasts, especially ones that talk about other entrepreneurs and have other entrepreneurs coming on talking about their stories and how they achieved success and what they had to go through. And how that helps me is that when I hear their stories, not just of the success, but especially of the hard times they went through, it reminds me that, you know what, even though I may be facing tough times right now and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I know that there is a way out, and that way out is perseverance, just like those other entrepreneurs did. And that really helped me to keep going. I think finally, my final bit of advice that I can say, or something that I must stress, is that the importance of a co-founder. The importance of a co-founder, I think, is something you can't stress enough. Running a startup is really, really difficult. I think it's one of the hardest things you can do in business. If you have someone who's there alongside you to go on the ride with you, it helps so much. And perhaps what's equally important is having a co-founder whose skills are different but complementary to your own. So in our example, I'm someone who is comfortable talking to people. I love crunching numbers, doing forecasts, and doing a lot of business development, things like that. That's my forte. I love doing those things. My wife, my co-founder, on the other hand, she is more introverted than I. She's not too much of a people person, but she's extremely creative. She's extremely good at things that are aesthetic. So when it comes to our designing all our packaging, all our messaging, she's really great. She's amazing at that stuff. And that's something that I'm absolutely terrible at. I've tried designing things. It looks worse than what a fourth or fifth grader would do. I'm being honest here. And so both our skills are very different from one another, but they're very complementary to the business. And that really helps. It really helps, really does help. And one last thing, I'm sorry if I'm going on a bit, but something that's really important, especially in co-founder relationships, is having a clear vision for the company and having a shared vision. So all co-founder relationships will have a lot of conflicts coming up. It's natural, it's part of being human, it's part of life. But if you have a shared goal and a shared mission, then at the end of the day, you both will always tend to come up with the best solutions for the company and for that achieving that mission. Yeah.
Well, I must say that you must be very proud because you've mentioned earlier that you sit and you listen to a lot of podcasts, and just sitting and listening to your podcast, it's very authentic and extremely inspiring. So you've come full circle now as an entrepreneur from listening to other business owners to being the one giving the advice. Well done to you and well done to your co-founder. I love the concepts that you've put forward around solving real world problems. This is what it's all about, finding the gap, finding the problem, and creating the solution. Sometimes people don't even know there's a gap, but you create the solution anyway. Having a clear vision and a shared vision. And I think the gems that you gave us around a co founder and having complementary skills is so important. I think you're probably one of the lucky entrepreneurs that has a good relationship with a co-founder or that even has a co-founder. Later on in the segment, we're going to talk to two female entrepreneurs that are slaying it all by themselves. But that's more to come later. But before we wrap up and before we say goodbye to you, Arshad, tell us a little bit more about Mauritius. Tell us a little bit more about, we've heard about some of the programs from Mr. Dukan. We've heard about the wonderful initiatives, I think the various schemes that the Economic Development Board is running. And it's great to hear, but from your perspective, sitting on the other side of it, sitting as an entrepreneur, tell us how easy it is or how difficult it's been. And just tell us a little bit about the process of incorporating a company in Mauritius.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to clarify. Anybody who doesn't have a co-founder, I have so much respect for you because it's amazing that you can do things on your own, and I envy you because I don't think I would have that level of grit and determination. So, congratulations to anybody who can do that. Okay, so so like we heard from Mr. Dukan, there are a lot of schemes in Mauritius. The ones that we have personally benefited from, there was one that the Mauritius government was running called the Prima l'Emploi, which was
Sorry, you
sort
need
of like
to repeat that because French is not my first language. It's not in my vocab at all.
so it's well, if you're coming to Mauritius, you'll pick up a few words. It's called the Prime à l'Emploi. So what it is, it's perfect. There you go. What it is a scheme that the Mauritius government was running, especially post COVID-19, for SMEs. And what this scheme does is that it allows SMEs to hire women entrepreneurs, so women employees. So you're allowed to hire up to 2 women employees who are up to the age of 50, and the Mauritius government will subsidize part of their salary. So post-COVID, for a lot of SMEs who are struggling to make payroll, this was a really great scheme, and this is something that we actually benefited from. So my wife actually benefits from this as an employee of the company. Part of her salary is subsidized by the Mauritius government. So, and this is specifically targeted to women. So that's really, really amazing. Another scheme that I personally know of, which we haven't taken advantage of yet, is the the Development Bank of Mauritius has a loan scheme targeted at women-run SMEs. So majority women-owned. They stress that a loan cannot be dispersed unless it is majority women-owned. And that's a really, really great scheme that helps an underrepresented part of the population who have been disadvantaged and need that advantage. So, yeah, there are a couple of quite a lot of schemes in Mauritius, especially aimed towards women. I personally have a family member who is part of what Mr. Dukan mentioned, SME Mauritius, and they provide trainings and mentorship. And she was telling me about having undertaken training in bookkeeping, which is a very vital skill for business. So that goes to show that Mauritius is actually um, taking strides and making efforts to do things to help all entrepreneurs, not just men but also women as well.
Thank you, Arshad. Certainly a lot to take in, and you've given us so much to think about, but you've also given us so many feedback gems. Honestly, you have really given us gems. You've talked about passion, you've talked about risk, you've talked about thinking outside of the box, you've talked about leveraging your skill sets and finding people who are complementary to you. You've talked about a clear vision, you've talked about a shared vision. You've talked about empowering yourself through skills development, listening to podcasts, using the available resources, so the Economic Development Board resources in your instance. Many, many gems for our listeners out there. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today from the island of Mauritius. Before we close, you need to give us some final words of inspiration.
um, Final words of inspiration: just do what you love, do what you love, and always do everything to the best of your ability. Always give 100%.
I love that. I love that. Do what you love, do it to the best of your ability, and give 100%. Thank you for giving 100% of yourself today. Thank you for being so authentic and so inspiring. It was an absolute pleasure. And where can we find you? Where can our listeners get hold of you? Where can we buy your teas?
Sure. So you can reach us on our website, www.mightybox.mu. You can order directly from there. It's an e-commerce website. You can reach us at Instagram at mightybox.mu, on Facebook. You can message us anytime. If you'd like to email me, you can email me at info@mightybox.mu. I reply to all emails, even if it takes a while. I reply to all of them. Yeah, and thank you so much, Khadija. It was really a pleasure, and thank you to the Korea Indaba team. And yeah, keep drinking tea.
Thank you, Rashad, and thank you to your co-founder who couldn't be with us today. But lovely words, very inspiring, very authentic, and keep on doing what you're doing. And we will definitely have to start getting some of that tea. I'm looking forward to the chili pickle tea, mango pickle, I think. Thank you,
Yeah,
Rashad.
thank
We'll be
you.
back soon after a break.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover, a 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Hello. Africa. Want to stay plugged into the world of work? Follow us at Career Indaba on LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, and dive deeper at careerindaba.org. You're listening to Career Indaba Radio, the voice of Africa's labor market. Real voices, real change, real opportunity. It's more than just an expo. It's a blueprint for Africa's future. The Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026, 15th to 16th May, Sandton Convention Center. 5,000 delegates, 100 exhibitors, 20 bootcamps. Career Indaba, where skills meet opportunities.
Welcome back to the SME Drive at Career Indaba. We just heard from a team in Mauritius, Mr. Dukan from the Economic Development Board, who told us about all the various initiatives that the Mauritius Economic Development Board is running to assist SMEs. We then heard from a Mauritian entrepreneur who talks about tea, love, and passion. Let's recap. The SME Drive, the cornerstone initiative of Career Indaba, designed to empower small and medium enterprises. We're here to help you. We're here to help all small and medium enterprises throughout Africa. Our focus is on entrepreneurship as a driver of employability, entrepreneurship as a driver of industrialization and the creation of green jobs. SME Drive aims to foster a landscape where local businesses can thrive. We're here to help you, entrepreneurs. We're here to give you real advice from real entrepreneurs who are going through the same things that you are going through, or to give you that kick that you needed to start your own business. We do that by fostering a landscape of communication and dialogue, storytelling. We're here to listen to people's stories because that's how we learn. We learn through stories. We want you to contribute meaningfully to economic growth in the continent. And we want to do that by showing you practical things that people are doing. We want to make practical commitments. The SME Drive connects entrepreneurs with vital resources such as access to finance, markets, and mentorship. This is what we're about. We're helping transform ideas into impactful ventures. During Career Indaba Week, the SME Drive serves as a platform for influential voices in business and in shared insights. We are hoping to inspire innovation, to advocate for inclusive economic participation. Our program is aimed to highlight the crucial role that SME plays in shaping this continent's economic system. I'm joined today by my next guest, Nicole Roberts, something that I had no clue even existed up until very recently, something called the pink economy. To hear all about it, please join me and Nicole, who's going to join us very shortly now. Bear with us because we're in the same studio. Well, we're in the same boardroom, but we need to figure out the camera a little bit. There we go. Nicole, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Khadija. Hi to everybody else.
Let's see if we can get onto the same screen so that our listeners can see you and hear you at the same time.
Okay.
So we're going to move gears a little bit. We started off in Mauritius. We're back in the boardroom in Botswana, and we have with us Nicole from the pink economy, a term that I think, did you coin that yourself?
I did.
She coined that term herself. I'm going to hand over to Nicole to tell us a little bit about it because it's an education for myself as well. Nicole, before you tell us about pink collars and the pink economy, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Because your story, you've told it to me already.
I have.
And it's very inspiring.
Okay, my name is Nicole Roberts again. I'm a 34-year-old young woman, a mother of two.
She doesn't look 34. She looks much younger.
Yes, a mother of two. And how I started my business? It's a funny story, actually. When I finished my high school, I found myself in a bit of a squabble. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. Usually people, when they finish high school, they know they want to be a policeman or a soldier or a teacher, but I had absolutely no idea. I went on to study fashion design, which didn't really work out for me because that's not where my passion was at. It didn't exactly fill that hole that I was trying to fill up. From fashion design, I went to study events management, and it filled the gap, but not entirely. Something was still missing. So I kind of took a gap year after that, after graduating from all those courses. So a friend of mine whom I used to visit back in, so when I then reunited with her after a couple of years, I met her and she's like, "This is my office space." So I graduated from doing nails in my mother's living room, and now I have this beautiful space. And she's like, what are you doing?" And I still felt clueless. And she's like, "But you literally always have lash extensions on every time I see you. Have you thought of taking up a course on lash extensions?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." So I went on to do the lash course. It was 2 weeks. And I'm going to tell you, the first time I was practicing on my first model, I can't explain it. It was absolute bliss. It made me extremely happy. And I knew this is where God wants me to be. And I dived into that. So I didn't even waste time. I ordered my first batch of stock in China. And I started, I think, a month later. Yes, that is my story. So here I am now.
So very similar theme that's come across from our first entrepreneur, and that is of passion. And I think that's something that we're going to see because our next guest is also, when I spoke to her earlier, is also a theme about passion. But we'll talk more about passion later. I'm more interested in the pink economy. So the beauty industry is a booming industry. It is an industry about creativity, but tell me about this term that you coined.
The pink collar.
Yes.
Everybody has a reference. The corporate have the white collar, the farmers have the blue collar, the constructions have the blue collar. So we thought, why not? We do wear pink scrubs to work most of the time in the beauty industry. So why not go for the pink collar?
I love it. I love that you guys have done that. Tell us what was your biggest challenge starting your own business?
I think entrepreneurship as a whole, let me start with entrepreneurship, is very challenging on its own. I think the biggest challenge that I had was having the confidence to dive into an industry that already has a lot of talented women in it. Also trying to build my clientele. I think I was also insecure because when I started in my bedroom. So I was letting people into my personal space because I couldn't afford to find a bigger space there. So also trying to build a clientele, it was challenging. I found myself in situations where a client would come, I'd tell her, "I don't have this stock, I'm waiting for this stock." So now I'm at a place where my stock is always readily available. I don't face such challenges as there's no stock, there's no this, there's no that. The confidence part, we're very united as the pink collar industry. So I think I was just shy about it at first. So now I'm very more comfortable because they're very loving women. We help each other. We have what we call a service exchange. So if I'm doing lashes and the next person is doing hair, I can say, "Let me do your hair and let you do my lashes." It's like a barter exchange, it's like a barter exchange of services. So yeah, the pink collar is quite a fascinating industry.
Thank you, Nicole. We're going to try and go to a break as we sort out the dynamics here in this boardroom, so I can get to see you. I can get to see you in your eyes. So we're going to pause for a break, and we're going to just sort out our seating arrangements, and we'll be back soon.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers. The makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes
Do I have to look
industry.
into the camera?
I think we do.
Okay, instead of looking at you.
Yeah,
Okay.
look into the camera.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I've got a trailblazing woman with me today. So excited to introduce Nicole Robert, a lash artist from Lash Art Botswana. Nicole has been telling us about all the amazing things she's doing, and she's telling us about what it takes to build a business. Talk to us about the first few months of building a business. I think you mentioned earlier, access to finance was a difficult thing, or not necessarily having the right amount of stock or the right amount of financing to be able to buy the stock. How did you overcome that challenge? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs have fantastic ideas, but it's always the finance and the funding behind it that holds them back. How did you overcome?
Okay, let me start with, I think the one thing that we don't realize when you step into the entrepreneurship space, it's not like corporate. With corporate, Khadija, you'll have a department that deals with entrepreneurship. Since I started myself, like the last speaker said, they have a co-founder. I am just winging it by myself. So what I didn't realize is that I have to wear all the hats in the business. I'm the finance, I'm the accountant, sorry. I'm the administrator, I'm the graphic designer, I'm the marketing department. I'm doing everything. At the same time, I'm also an owner. So with the finance part, I had to really, the marketing part. I had to really put myself out there, maybe share like discount promos that 5% off for lashes, and with the little that I had, and I also had a support system. I'm not going to lie, my dad is my biggest support system. He'd tell me, let me hand you this for a little while and then see what you can do with it. So with marketing and word of mouth, I got to put myself really out there. So financing never stopped becoming an issue.
Okay, that's excellent. So I think another lesson that I'm hearing from both you and the previous entrepreneur is help. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes.
And where you have networks, leverage of them. Like you had your dad, you leverage of that network. So that's good to know. Tell us about this bartering system and how you help other women and how other women help you.
The bartering system is just a service exchange. I do your nails. Somebody gets my nails done. I get them a lash set without having a monetary exchange. So we could do that maybe monthly or weekly. It works that way. So if you see my hair installation now, just trust that I did her lashes, and I didn't have to pay for this, but I paid by doing her lashes. And then I also offer a training program. This is how I help other women who want to jump into the beauty industry. So I give them an opportunity to learn how to do lashes and eyebrows. It's theory-based and practical-based. So we go through all of that, and I let them, there's a section where I touch on how the entrepreneurship space is going to be. The challenges, what to do, what not to do when you overcome certain things. So with the hope that they go out there to build their own businesses, or with the hope that they get employment from other beauty spas.
That's very inspiring, Nicole, paying it forward, not just by doing the exchange, but by mentoring young ladies to start their own business, and not just mentoring them in terms of how to do lashes, but a holistic mentorship in terms of how to actually run a business. That's extremely inspiring. So tell our listeners and our viewers out there, how do they get in touch with you if they want to do some training on lashes? What does it cost? What is the time? Tell us about your program.
Okay, so my program is for 5 days, which also has a full mentorship program. So my door is always open, even after the course is done. I'm willing to offer my help. The course is 3,300 Pula. It comes with a lash kit. So yeah, that's basically it. How to find me? We are on Instagram at _lashoutbw, and on Facebook at lashoutbw. And then our phone number is +267 76 512 668.
So you've definitely contributed. My next question was going to be, how has Lash Out contributed to job creation and skills development? But I mean, I think it's amazing how you've done it. I mean, through this mentorship program, because often you get people that are highly skilled with their hand. They can do amazing things, but they actually don't know how to run a business.
100%.
And the fact that you're showing this holistically is so important. What advice do you give to those kind of people? So I come across in my day-to-day, I come across artists, I come across muralists that are amazing and that have done amazing work, but they just don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to stick to timelines, deadlines. They don't know how to cost things properly.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for those people that are starting out, that have the skill, that have the artistic flair, but they don't necessarily have the business experience?
Okay. What I would say is I actually include this when I teach my Lash students. It's very important to try to educate yourself every day. YouTube, TikTok, we have this huge platform that allows us to learn things.
And Career Indaba.
That allows us to get onto those platforms and learn something new every day. So with the course that I did with lashes, I didn't entirely learn everything. So 90% of the things that I've learned, I am self-taught. Because I went on the internet, I watched videos over and over and over again. Even my company policies, my business policies, I had to look at what other lash tags are doing so that I can include it in what I am doing right now. So you need to go out there, put yourself out there and learn how to do marketing, learn how to be a graphic designer. The internet is there for us, basically.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you talk about a lot of the challenges that a lot of people go through. Many youth struggle to turn their passion into profit. They struggle to build businesses. They struggle to build sustainable businesses. So I think talking to you is hopefully going to help at least somebody out there. So I thank you for that. It's very inspirational. Where do you see your business going next?
I'm trying to turn Lash Out into a one-stop shop because right now what I'm focused on is doing individual lash extensions, eyebrows, and waxing. I am self-taught with all of these, by the way. So my clients would come in, say Khadija comes in to do lashes. Khadija would be like, from here I have to go to Gaborone to get my hair done, then I have to go to Mogodisane to do this and this and that. So I'm trying to make it in such a way that you come to Lash Out, you get your lash extensions done, you get your nails done, you get your hair done, you get your facials done. So that's where I see myself in the next 2 to 3 years. So the next time I come back to Career Indaba, we can talk about it and be like, yes, I am a one-stop shop.
I'm looking forward to that. We definitely, I can tell the founder who's obviously listening in. By the way, for those who don't know, our founder of Career Indaba is Kani, an amazing and inspirational woman herself. But I know light bulb's going off in her head because she's definitely going to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I have another young lady who I see has just joined us. If you can see in the back, she's just joined us in studio. She's also going to talk about female entrepreneurship and also going to talk about creative arts. But before we go there, let's stop for a break.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we feel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover, a 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
And welcome back from the boardrooms of Botswana, not the boardrooms of Sandton. We are joined by Nicole Roberts from the beauty industry, a pink-collar worker, self-proclaimed pink-collar worker. Nicole works in one of the fastest growing industries today, especially for young women entrepreneurs. She runs Lash Out Botswana, a lash extension business, which is more than just a lash extension business. It's actually a lash extension business with a full-on mentorship and training program. Nicole, you're such an inspiration for the things you're doing. It's so inspiring to see that you look at your business holistically. You're not just honing in on your skill and on the technical and artistic side, but you're looking at things holistically, from business acumen to, P&L, cash flow, ordering your lashes from China, importing raw materials. That's very inspirational. And I must say, I'm sure very daunting. Myself being a corporate girl, I've never really had my own business. So it's so inspiring to see women like you slaying it every single day. So for others out there like myself who haven't been on this journey, give us some final words of inspiration.
My favorite thing to say, one day at a time. I'm not going to lie and say I haven't thought of quitting the first 2 years. It was hard. Graduating from my bedroom to a better space. It changes every year. You need that dedication. When you put your mind to something, you need to be able to pull through and do it. So that is my advice. You don't give up. It will get hard. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. So you need to be prepared for that.
Not for the faint-hearted. I like that. And it's definitely a theme that we're seeing coming across. Having the grit, having the determination. You've spoken about some of your highlights around a mentorship program, but entrepreneurship is not just about highlights. I'm sure there were some lowlights as well. Tell us about some of the lows and how you overcame them.
The lows, like I mentioned before, is not having clientele, wanting to quit, but you need a very firm and strong support system as well. Somebody to give you and affirm you every day that you can do this. You started this for a reason. So my children are also one of the reasons why I push myself every day, because this is my bread and butter. I do it for my kids and I do it for myself. And I'm doing it because when I finished high school, I didn't know what to do. And people are blowing up being lawyers. So I need to stay firm and stick to something and know that eventually I will get to the top.
I love that, Nicole. Thank you for sharing. And I think you hit on something that's quite pertinent, is that not everybody is cut out to become a doctor or a lawyer, although in a lot of families, they believe that's the right course of action.
Yeah.
So not everybody's cut out for university, not everybody's cut out to be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, but there are other options. And I'm so glad to have you on our show today to show us some of those options that exist out there, and to show us how, with the right amount of grit and the right amount of determination, anyone can make it. Turn your passion into profit. Thank you, Nicole. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Khadija, and Career Indaba.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole, before you leave, I have to get our next guest on stage, because I have to have two inspiring female entrepreneurs on the same screen with me. So I'd like to welcome, without further ado, Wasila Nuzmi, who's the owner of Urban Arts by W. Wasila, I want you to come through this side. You've got to come across because now we're all on the same screen, sharing the same boardroom. Tell us about what you do also for women, because I love it. Women helping women. Here's another inspirational woman. You actually don't even need me on screen because you've got these two amazing women here just to give you some gems.
Good afternoon, I'm Wasila Nazmi, and like Khadija said, what do I do for women? First and foremost, I strongly believe in women empowerment by all means. Wherever I can, I try to help in different communities in Botswana. I have helped in with the autism community, I've done Down syndrome community. Through my artwork and my creative talent, I generate profits, and a certain percentage of those profits are given to those organizations, not forgetting the Princess Marina Hospital that we recently donated to their neonatal unit. So this all is generated through my artwork.
Thank you, Wasila. The reason I called you in is because I wanted you to meet Nicole, and I wanted the two of you to connect, because that's what Career Indaba is all about. It's about real life connections. We're going to go to a break when I'm going to formally introduce our next guest, which is Wasila. She's going to tell us a little bit about what she does. But we say goodbye to Nicole. Nicole, one day at a time.
Exactly.
We will remember
Thank you
those
so
words
much.
one day at a time.
Yes.
Let's break.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we feel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. Hello Africa! Want to stay plugged into the world of work? Follow us at Career Indaba on LinkedIn, Instagram and X, and dive deeper at careerindaba.org.
Welcome back to the SME Drive. I'm joined in studio by Wasila, but before we move on to Wasila, let's recap. The SME Drive, I'm here with you until 6 o'clock this evening, and we're going to talk about all things SME related, from green jobs to industrialization to employment in small to medium enterprises. We aim to connect you to real entrepreneurs so you can learn real lessons from people that have gone through the entrepreneurship journey. With me in studio today is Wasila Nuzmi, or should I say Wasila Ibrahim? Let's call her Wasila Nuzmi Ibrahim. Wasila is an inspiring woman who creates joy through color, through craft, and through connection. And that's the tagline of her business. Her business is called Urban Arts by W, where creativity meets community. She's a Botswana-based art studio that brings color, imagination, and hands-on experience to people from all ages. From vibrant art classes to unique handmade crafts, she's about painting, she's about connection, she's about confidence, and she's about creating memories. When I met her for the first time, she was a real inspiration to me because not only was she doing arts and crafts, but she was doing it in a way that gives back. So she has a charitable angle linked to her business as well. Corporate social responsibility is a big part of her ethos. Wasila, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being such an inspirational entrepreneur, but also one that gives back. Tell us a bit more about your corporate social initiatives before we even talk about your business.
Okay, I base a lot of my corporate initiatives with as you all know, I'm a special educationist first and foremost. So I associate myself with a lot of communities that need aid firstly, and then I drive in my passionate drive, which is arts and crafts. So the whole reason behind this is that I didn't want to be in a 9-to-5 job. I wanted to be a mom, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be a community worker, all at the same time, which was why I decided to merge all three into one and make a dynamic house to aid wherever I could. So I'm having the best of all three worlds, with nobody being neglected.
So you are living proof that you can do it all. That is amazing. You're an entrepreneur, you're a mum, you're a wife, you're a caregiver, you're a social worker.
Of course. And I strongly think that any woman out there, if they believe, they can do it. Definitely, hands down, I have no doubt about it. There's no two ways about saying it's difficult being a mom and continuing with your career. There's no room for that. You can have it all if you believe in it.
I love that. Ladies, are you listening? Please say that again. You can have it all if
Definitely.
you believe.
Of course. If you believe, you can definitely have it all. Nobody needs to be neglected in any way. You just need to be an all-rounder.
I love that. So, Wazila, tell us a little bit about Urban Arts by W and how this journey came about.
Okay, Urban Arts by W started up with me. I was always passionate about art. Being a graduate student who could not find a job, I decided why not put my passion, passion to use. And that's when I came in with commissioned artwork. And slowly, as the commissioned artwork started blooming, I had students come in to say, could we come in for art classes? Could you please teach us this? Could you please teach us that? And that's how it had generated, where my students were the sole reason who persevered me to please come in and teach us art, which made me really happy because I realized kids of today are all about devices. They have forgotten what is art, what is painting, etc., which I feel is so sad right now. Me personally, I'm against devices, so I feel I would like to bring back the old school of arts and crafts back into homes, schools, societies, etc.
Thank you, Wasila. Certainly a theme we're seeing across today is one of passion. We heard about it this earlier in the segment where we spoke to our tea entrepreneur, love and passion for tea. We heard about passion for lashes from Nicole, and now we're hearing about passion for arts from you. Passion is definitely the big theme, and certainly for me as a non-entrepreneur, I can see if I had to kind of write a guideline on entrepreneurship, passion would be right up there at the forefront. Tell us how your journey started and how you started the business and some of the challenges you faced along the way.
Okay, I started this in 2022 when I gave birth to my second born. I was a mom, a new mom. COVID happened. We didn't know what to do. We were all in lockdown, etc., which was actually the reason why I decided to start up art classes and bloom it in a way that kids could now come out of their shells. Because as COVID hit us, it hit us just as bad with our kids. So a lot of kids I found, being like shy, intimate, like they didn't want to come out and talk. That's when I realized I need to do something to bring kids into talking to each other again. And what better way, isn't it, than having art classes? So I regularly introduced art classes of different, we have to keep up with trends because they are the new generation, the AI generation. So every art class that I introduce is always, keeping up with whatever's going on right now in the world. And kids are loving it. I do it according to themes. The latest being themed party. And I'm so glad with the divine initiative of bringing art to a birthday party or an event, it has made it so much more interactive, exciting, and kids came out of their bubble. At first, they were a bit quiet, a bit in their cocoon, and by the end of that art class, I would see big smiles on, happy faces, and that was truly just the melt of my heart.
So I am a recipient of classes and art classes that Wasila has done for my kid's birthday, and I can tell you I was actually pleasantly surprised by the interaction from the kids. The generation of iPads, the generation of tablets, the generation of Xboxes and PlayStations, they all got out of their gamer mode and they got into painting mode. And I was so pleasantly surprised because the feedback we got was fantastic. Everybody had a wonderful time. And it was so good to see kids using their skills, using their creativity, and accessing other parts of their brain, which they don't really get to access when they're just stuck behind screens. So very inspirational, very inspiring, and also very good to kind of reset the brain. Exactly. Now, tell us about your degree and how that has helped you in your business.
Okay, I'm a UB student graduate.
For those that don't know, that's the University of Botswana. So we've got listeners across Africa.
So I've started at the University of Botswana. I have done learning disabilities. That's my first major. My second major would be English. With time and with the whole unemployment going on, I couldn't really find a suitable job, which was actually why the passion for my creativity had pushed me into this. I would say pushed me because I was really stagnated for a good time period. I could say maybe 6 years of motherhood that just stagnated me, which was when I realized, nope, this is not it. I do not want to be stagnated anymore. I would like to come out. I'm tired of being in this cocoon. I want to be a butterfly now and I want to fly along. And yes, this has been the most inspiring time of my life because of the different kinds of backgrounds and people that I got to meet. The best part that I would say is when a child comes to you and says, "Ma'am, I had the best art class." Sometimes they don't even say it to you, but when they walk into your class and they look at you and they just, like their face is straight, like stern, they don't have a smile on their face. But when they leave with that big grin, that is priceless. That is seriously priceless. I've done many like before and afters of my students coming in and I look at it and I say, wow, look at this. Just look at this. Like he's frowning, he walks in all confused, or she walks in all terrified. And then they leave my art class with a beautiful masterpiece, with a huge grin on their face and so happy to see what they've done. And that's just amazing.
That's very inspirational, Wazila. Thank you. Wazila, your brand slogan is creating joy through color, craft, and connection. Sounds like a butterfly blooming just in itself. Tell us what this means to you personally and how it shapes your mission.
Okay, I grew up in a multilingual community. Like I came to Botswana when I was 7 years old, and just being amongst all races, all cultures, and just blossoming together was one thing that I appreciate so much today. I feel like my kids and the kids that I meet at schools no longer have that essence. So the reason why I created my slogan to be a mix of all those is to bring communities together, bring individuals together, and unite and ignite and bring on something dynamic together. If I were to do it alone, it could happen. But if we all do it together, it's definitely going to happen.
Thank you, Wazila. We're going to shift gears a little bit and we're going to talk predominantly about your journey as an SME and as an entrepreneur and as a small business owner. I'm sure there are lots of lessons that you've learned. Talk us through some of those lessons and some of the things you had to do to build your business in Botswana.
Okay, there were many challenges. Basically, in the art community, a lot of parents believed it's a hobby, mind I add. And that was not true. It's not just a hobby, it's a passion, it's a love, it's something that comes from within. In art, we believe a mistake can always be fixed. In school, it could not be. So when I started up my business, a lot of my clientele felt that it wasn't going to work out. It's just paper and canvas, etc., etc. But with time, as I started introducing different concepts, themes, different medias, etc., it started creating awareness, which was why a lot of students started enrolling. Network is key. If you know people, if you know communities, if you know leaders of communities, etc., pass the word on. Honestly, it happened by word of mouth. It's like today we had 2 students, the next class we had 10 students, and as time went on, we grew. It was really challenging at first because it was COVID. There was a lot of problems going on where we were scared to send our kids out, etc. But with time, it had matured and I continued my passion. There were moments where I would have literally no students whatsoever, and I would look at the the class and think, oh my word, what am I going to do today? I have prepared for the class. There were moments where it would be raining so much outside that I would get students all of a sudden canceling in. But that did not stop me. I persevered and continued despite all those. The one lesson I would say that I learned was nothing is impossible if you do not believe in it. Belief is key. Belief pushes you. Belief brings you up. And to all the youth out there, I think if you believe you can do something, you can. But it also takes persistence. Persistence and perseverance work hand in hand. There's no two ways about it.
So I work for a large corporate, and the founder of our corporate says an overnight success takes 20 years to build in the background. So there's no such a thing as an overnight success. It's all about perseverance. It's all about hard work. It's about believing you can. I think a lot of the youth nowadays are, they are overwhelmed by the idea that you can become a TikTok star overnight. And whilst you can, and that does happen, unfortunately, it doesn't happen for everybody. So I'm glad to hear that there are people like you who are spreading the message of hard work, spreading the message of believing, spreading the message of consistency, determination, and grit. Tell me, I'm sure working in the creative industry hasn't come without its challenges, but are there any kind of policies or industrial movements that help people in the arts industry within Botswana that we should know about?
Currently, I have not come across any art industries. Actually, art right now, it's becoming like a taboo. People are not believing in art. They're not seeing the reason or the purpose behind art, which was actually, if you go to my Facebook and Instagram pages, I have introduced the concept of explaining exactly what my artwork means or helps the child. For example, if I were to say a tote bag, we designed a tote bag. As a mother, I would think, okay, it's just a tote bag. No, it's not just a tote bag. There is gross motor skills involved, there's imagination, there's creativity, there's cognitive development. The list is endless, So if I were to say, parents of today have forgotten in the fun times of life, when our kids are not doing well, the first thing we do is run to a tutor, run to a therapist. But why not run to art? Why not allow them to relax? Why not allow them to explore and use their imagination, which would help them conquer in so many different ways? If you would ask me, through my art classes, I teach kids to take this skill, and if need be, later in life, they could also use it to be an entrepreneur. Why not? We do everything from A to Z. During the Independence holiday, I had a Cookie Monster theme, and with the Cookie Monster theme, we had them package their cookies. And the one student comes to me and says, "Oh, I could do that in my cake sale for the next time we have a cake sale." And I thought, yes, of course. This is exactly what you can do, because we ribboned it, we wrote a little Boipusu card, and we were so happy. So she pointed out herself that she could sell these cookies. And I mean, this is an 8-year-old already thinking out of the box. I didn't even have to tell her about it. She saw it in her work, which was great. I mean, the accomplishment that a child receives in art classes is just phenomenal. So I would encourage parents, please go ahead. Don't think it's expensive. Material out there is expensive, yes, but the outcome that you're going to get from that class is going to be dynamic. So go for it. Find out the nearest artist, come to Urban Arts by W, and we'll surely help you out, definitely.
We're gonna pause for a short break now, but very inspiring to hear that art is helping entrepreneurship. Let's pause on that thought.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we feel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026, is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event, designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce.
Welcome. We're back in studio. Well, we're back in the boardroom actually with Wazila Nuzi Ibrahim, a graduate student from the University of Botswana, who actually found it difficult to enter the labor market because jobs were not that easy to come by. But she found a way. She found a way by founding Urban Arts by W. Wazila, tell us about some of the challenges as you founded your business.
Okay, the first challenges that I found out was the source of material in Botswana was not easily accessible. From paintbrush to paint, that was about it. And then as time went on, we started getting in new supplies, etc., etc. Most of my supplies back in the day were from other countries, but now I can proudly say that a lot of art stores have opened and there's so many ways to find art materials. I don't see why we should stop art. There's ways to create different pieces that could be sold in different ways. There's the online market. People are even shipping paintings to Japan and other countries from here. So I don't see why we should stop painting. I would tell anyone who's passionate about art, please go ahead, go on, buy on some art material and do what you like.
That's actually, one of the questions I had prepared for you touches on that. It is how do we think that the creative and the cultural industries can actually work hand in hand with manufacturing or tourism in Botswana?
Of course, Botswana is all about heritage. If we don't see how beautiful we have beautiful beadwork going on, we have our Big Five, etc., etc. It works hand in hand. People actually come from all over the world to the craft market, as we know here in Botswana, to buy our ostrich eggs. And if we are going to stop painting, then how is our tourism and art industry going to continue to bloom? So I would say, please go ahead and continue, because tourism and the art industry work hand in hand to work so that the outcome is more dynamic.
Thank you, Wazila. Wazila, so one of the focuses on Career Indaba is also around green jobs, around sustainability, around being ESG. ESG is like a buzzword at the moment, so is green jobs. A lot of investors also looking at industries that are more sustainable, more environmentally conscious. How do you, in your small business, incorporate some of the environmentally conscious decisions or eco-friendly practices into your business?
Okay, so we try across the board where we could recycle material, number one, because that really helps. You must know a lot of people don't want to pay so much for artwork. So if we could recycle, say, an egg tray, why not? If we could recycle shoelaces, why not? So by all means, I try to keep my art classes cost efficient. But like I said, it depends on what artwork we are doing. Moreover, I don't know if I answered the question.
You did. You absolutely did. You absolutely
Okay,
did.
and as for the creating jobs, right? So a lot of students are like university dropouts or high school dropouts. I really do not mind if they would like to reach out to me. I could pass on my skill. They could learn it, make it, sell it. Why not? I don't have any issues in helping any other woman out there that needs help. I've had a few ladies come in, beautiful girls who sadly due to certain situations had to drop out of school, university. They came in, they learned a skill and they're doing something with it. At least it's giving them some form of motivation to life, some form of direction, which is really great.
Wazila, that ties in very nicely with Career Indaba's objectives, is to help people, to help with unemployment, to help with skills mismatches, or to help with upskilling. So I'd like you to just repeat what you said so that people can understand how to access you and how to get through to you if they are in need or if they need some training. Where do they reach you? How do they come to you? And what do you offer?
Okay, you can reach out to me through Instagram and Facebook. I'm very active on those two social platforms. I offer skills such as painting and beadwork. Those are my two main big hobbies. And then we go into tote bags and all the new trending stuff that's happening currently. The main one right now that's being quite generative is painting, as well as the beadwork that I teach young entrepreneurs or youngsters who would like to just take it forward, do something for themselves. You could be at university, you could be looking for a job, but this does generate income, so why not? I'm open to helping you out. You are more than welcome to reach out and we could take it further from there.
Thank you, Wazila. Tell us about some success stories that have come about from your training and mentorship programs.
Okay, the success stories that I would say is back in the day during COVID, I used to work alongside with Caroline from Sensor Baby. We were able to help out at the cancer survivor party, which was really great because I got to personally interact. I feel like anyone can donate, but donating your time is more rewarding than just giving money. So I was able to be there to help out wherever I could, as well as donate to the organization. I've helped out in the Down syndrome organization. I've attended their once a year parties. So that reward you get in your heart to see that a little bit can go such a big way or bring on such a big smile. To appreciative I feel when I see that.
Thank you for that. That's very inspiring and very humbling as well. I think you touched on the fact that people think art is just a hobby. I have to admit, I was probably one of those people, but in talking to you, your passion, your charisma, your determination, your grit, your absolute intelligence has really kind of changed my mind. So I was a skeptic. You've managed to convince heart. Advice do you give other female entrepreneurs? Because like me, there are many people that people just in the sense that it's just never you'll never make a business out of it. Give some advice to those that are going through that as we speak. Going sayers.
Yes. Okay, like I've said previously, is patience and persistence. You have to be persistent. A goal-driven woman. I say this is if you're going to hear about all the different kinds of around what I go through, I would not be here today. Definitely not. Keep driving, keep going, be goal strong-headed. That's the way you're going to outcome. Don't ever think that, what, it's just art, it's just a hobby, it's not going to get me anywhere. It will, it definitely will. Today you may have your 5 students, tomorrow you have 50. That's because of persistence. So please go ahead, don't stop. My goal or my advice is to keep going and just be downright sure and believe that what, I'm going to reach to the top one day.
A goal-driven woman you certainly are. Wazila, tell us what's next for Urban Arts by W. Any upcoming projects, any collaboration that we should be watching out for?
So yes, definitely. There's a lot of detail happening on my page weekly, and I'm looking for a lot of collaborations for next year to bring on more of an art environment between our communities, across the board actually. I actually didn't mention this, but I feel like art is for all ages. You're not too old, you're not too young. There's no such thing as that. Please come along, enjoy some art. You don't understand how therapeutic and relaxing that piece that time is. So yes, there's going to be a lot happening next year. I'm fully loaded of ideas and I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Let's switch gear a little bit to industrialization and creative economies. And I think when we think of industries, they're driving Africa's growth. And how do you see your work contributing to kind of broader industrial and economic landscapes?
Like I said, Botswana is all about heritage. So with time, with my bead work and my canvas paintings, I'm hoping that it would help on to create more people to purchase these products and appreciate what we do. It might look like something small, something meaningless, but to us, it's something very meaningful.
So success would look like Botswana art being exported?
Of course, why not? Why not? I mean, if people come from all over the world to buy an ostrich egg, like I said, definitely can be exported. I mean, the big five is there. Our lion skin is there. People would love to buy it. I'm sure, definitely.
Wazila, you've been an absolute inspiration, a real goal-driven woman. I've written down some of the things you've said because they're absolute gems. A goal-driven woman. Nothing is impossible if you believe you can. Proof you can do it if you have the passion for it. All of these are not my words, they are Wazila's words. She's been a fantastic guest today. Thank you for joining us on Career Indaba. Please go out there and continue to do what you do. You're certainly changing hearts and minds. You've changed mine. You certainly have. Not only are you doing that, but you're mentoring other women, you're mentoring other individuals. You're also doing it with a corporate social responsibility angle by giving back, an absolute inspiration and an ambassador for all female entrepreneurs. Wazila, the goal-driven woman, full of color, full of passion. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, any parting words?
Thank you so much. And I would just like to say to our youth out there, please continue. Do not think that if you can't find a job, that's it. No, it's not it. There's many other doors to open with great opportunities. Keep moving ahead. Be persistent and have a lot of perseverance, patience, and belief, and you will be perfectly fine.
Wazila, thank you so much. We wrap up this segment now with art. We started off with tea, we moved on to the pink economy, and we end on a colorful note with Wazila. On that note, it's time to go to a break. But before we do, let me talk about the next segment we're going to be talking about. We're shifting gears, so from tea to lashes to art, and we move on to the agricultural sector. So join us after the break as we talk to entrepreneurs from an agricultural manufacturing business. Thank you so much, Wazila. It's been an absolute pleasure. Keep on slaying it. We will definitely put you up on our page and we will ask people to be in touch because that's what Career Indaba is all about. It's about making the connections, and thank you for being part of this journey with us.
Thank you so much, Khadija, for the opportunity.
Thanks. Let's go to a break.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. Hello Africa! Want to stay plugged into the world of work? Follow us at Career Indaba on LinkedIn, Instagram and X, and dive deeper at careerindaba.org. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce. If unemployment is a crisis, now what? We are moving from talk to action. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover, a 5-day live broadcast activation from 27 to 31 October 2025, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Hosted by Career Indaba board members leading Africa's biggest conversations on employment, skills, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. Bring a pledge, a placement, or a partnership. Catch us live on careerindaba.org and all our social media platforms. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market.
And we're back in the final hour of the Boardroom Takeover. Career Indaba Boardroom Takeover has been running live from the 27th to the 31st of October, and I'm your host, Khadija Dangor, in the final hour of the Career Indaba Boardroom Takeover week. Today on the SME Drive show, we've seen entrepreneurs from all over the continent. We've talked to a tea producer from Mauritius, we've talked to a lash artist in Botswana, and just joined us recently was an artist also from Botswana. We also had an opportunity to chat to the Economic Development Board, who told us about some of the wonderful things that they're doing for small to medium enterprises. You're tuned in. We expect to explore the future of work. We expect to explore the future of innovation. We expect to explore opportunity, and we're going to do it across Africa. Today's focus, SMEs, industrialization, and green jobs. 3 powerful drivers shaping our economic and our environmental future. Do you know that SMEs make up more than 80% of employment in Africa? They are the beating hearts of our economy. From local manufacturers in Gaborone, to digital startups in Francistown, to green innovators finding new ways to recycle, reuse, and reimagine resources. But here's the challenge. As we industrialize, we must do so sustainably. Industrialization isn't just about factories and machines. It's about creating industries that are clean, creating industries that are inclusive, and creating industries that are future ready. And that's where green jobs come in. Across Botswana, we're seeing some fantastic things. We're seeing youth startups turning waste into energy. We're seeing SMEs turning green chemistry into manufacturing. And we're also seeing the onset of agricultural manufacturing. We're seeing industries adopting cleaner production methods. We're seeing a shift. Our next guest is from one of those industries, someone who represents the heartbeat of Botswana, someone who represents an agricultural and industrial transformation. He's from a company that's been empowering farmers, who's been creating jobs, and who's been feeding the nation for nearly 3 decades. I'm thrilled to welcome, joining me soon, Mr. Mohsin Khan, the General Manager of AgriVet Botswana, which is an agricultural feed producer, manufacturer, retailer in Botswana. Mohsin, welcome to the studio, or to the boardroom in this case.
Thank you so much, Khadija. Glad to be here.
I have to say, Mohsin was very shy, and he was extremely nervous about coming on the show. Mohsin, I can tell you have nothing to worry about.
Thank you so much.
But tell us a little bit about your background and about your degree and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I'm from Botswana, born and raised. I studied all my schooling here in Botswana. I studied animal science at the University of Agriculture, and from there I was employed as the general manager of AgriVet, which is directly involved with what I studied. Especially being an animal scientist, is we focus on animal nutrition, how to feed animals best, and that's exactly what AgriVet is.
AgriVet has grown from a single feed store in Botswana to a leading agricultural retail and livestock producer, manufacturer, and retailer. Share this journey and how has it inspired you?
Well, I wasn't there during the inception of AgriVet, but from my understanding, AgriVet started very simply as just one small feed store serving local farmers. But we quickly realized that the need went far beyond animal feed. Farmers need reliable access to animal medication, seeds, fertilizers, as well as consultancy. We need advice from our personnel on how to farm best, how to farm sustainably, took shape to build a business that supports Botswana farmers from every angle. That vision still drives us, empowering the people who feed the nation.
Thank you, Mohsin. So one of the things that Botswana does differently to a lot of countries is sustainable, non-hormone feed. Tell us how you at AgriVet ensure that you maintain this type of sustainability and eco-consciousness at the heart of your manufacturing process.
Well, we do consistent testing on our feeds. We take batch samples every day, and we ensure that none of our feed has contaminations or anything against the Botswana regulations set by BMT themselves. So through that, we ensure that our clientele and our customers are what's the word? And they are
satisfied.
Satisfied.
That's fine. Mr. Mohsin, tell us, it's not often that you hear, well, certainly for me, it's not often that I hear people who have studied agriculture. Maybe, in the circles I run in, it's bankers, lawyers, teachers. I've never really heard of people studying as a full-time degree agriculture. Tell us what took you there and some of the challenges that you faced during your career, during your degree.
Okay. So I'm not coming from a family of farmers at all or any agricultural background, but growing up in Botswana, I spent a lot of time in the outdoors, a lot of time around animals, a lot of time in nature itself, and that's where I really was drawn towards agriculture. Agriculture is something which is done in the bush or in the field and among nature, and that was my interest. So I naturally was inclined towards it, and I also saw an opportunity in Botswana for agriculture to grow, to be the heartbeat of the nation. It was something which Botswana was built on. Botswana was built on our cattle, and we are still known for some of the best beef in the world. And I still believe that there's opportunity for young entrepreneurs to enter the space, to become farmers, and to promote Botswana as an agricultural producer.
Thank you. I think this is very valid for a lot of our listeners out there, because often there's a misconception that there are specific industries one has to follow, and farming is one that often gets kind of left behind or is at the back of everybody's list. But if you look at what's going on in the world, food security, farming is definitely taking off. So what advice do you have for schoolgoers that are thinking of a career in agricultural business or in farming? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say that they should start small. Farming is very capital intensive, but it's very important that they start small, stay true to their ethics, integrity, and work hard always, because farming it's a very personal game. It's very difficult, but once you get it right, it's very, very fulfilling. And I think that anybody can do it. It's something that is not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to be an expert or a scientist. You just need to be able to have the practical experience and to work hard.
Thank you, Mohsin. Let's talk about job creation. So AgriVet, the company that you're currently running, doesn't just create products, you also create livelihoods. Can you tell us a story or share some highlights about the impact that your company has on youth, on employment, and any kind of youth employment initiatives that you have running, or for anyone out there, or vacancies for any of the youth out there? Sure. As well?
Well, I'll have to speak with myself in this case, because I'm a young entrepreneur or a young farmer, and AgriVet gave me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to enter the space as a leader and to learn a business. So I think that my own case is something which I think people should take inspiration from, because anybody can do it. I entered this game with minimal experience, but because I was willing to take it head on, I'm managing, and I will definitely keep pushing forward. And beyond that, we also have at least more than 50 employees at the moment, and majority of them are youth, Botswana youth. We constantly have vacancies for agrochemical specialists as well as vet techs. So if anybody's interested, please do contact me.
Thank you, Mohsin. So Mohsin talks about a powerful journey or Mohsin has spoken to me before this, and he's spoken about his journey of university into the job market. Mohsin, share some insights there, because a lot of university graduates find it very daunting. They don't have the work experience. They come out of university, they've got their degree, and they're looking for a job. What can they expect? What was your experience?
Well, I don't think you can really expect anything. Whatever you expect, it's not going to be the way that you think it will be. The world of work is very different from university, from school. But you always have an open mind, work hard, be honest, and I think that you will find success.
I love those words: open mind, honesty, hard work. Certainly a recipe for success. Absolutely. Mohsin, Botswana's vision for 2036 places strong emphasis on industrialization, on value addition. What role do you see SMEs playing in achieving that national vision?
Well, Agrivet being an SME, I think that we are the link between government schemes and small businesses. I think that through local manufacturing, we've reduced imports. We also focus on procuring raw materials from local farmers, empowering them to be better. And I think that we are a prime example of how an SME grows with the economy and will grow Botswana itself.
Thanks, Mohsin. We're going to take a short break and we're going to be back after that.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. It's more than just an expo, it's a blueprint for Africa's future. The Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026, 15th to 16th May, Sandton Convention Center, 5,000 delegates, 100 exhibitors, 20 bootcamps. Career Indaba, where skills meet opportunities. This is where the impact gets real. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. Live from 27 to 31 October, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. 5 days of bold action, live job bulletins, market access for SMEs, and skills pathways that open doors across Africa. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. The conversation becomes a movement. The idea becomes an economy. This is not another event. It's an activation of Africa's potential. The Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026, where 5,000 delegates, 100 exhibitors, and 20 bootcamp zones collide to create the future of work. From youth innovators to corporate pioneers, from township traders to global brands, every voice counts. 2 days, one goal. Aligning Africa's skills with its opportunities. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026. 15th to 16th May, Sandton Convention Center, where skills meet, where Africa works.
Welcome back to Career Indaba SME Drive. We're in the final hour of this week's Boardroom Takeover. I'm Khadija Dangor, joining you live from our boardroom in Botswana as we talk entrepreneurship. So as a corporate girl myself, I'm learning a lot about entrepreneurship. a lot about passion, a lot about drive, a lot about grit, and a lot about charisma. Joining me in studio right now is Mohsin Khan from AgriVet, a young entrepreneur who's recently qualified from the University of Botswana doing a graduate degree in agriculture. Mohsin is now running AgriVet, a small to medium enterprise here in Botswana, which manufactures feed. Mohsin, tell the youth out there what skills are required to enter an agricultural business or have an agricultural manufacturing plant.
Well, today agriculture is not just about farming, it's about innovation. You need a mix of technical skills, business sense, and adaptability. The best people in this field are problem solvers. There are a lot of problems to solve in this field, and I think that it's more than just having the practical, the technical knowledge. It's also about having the practical knowledge, doing it yourself, and trying, experimenting, and I think that anybody can do it.
So you're running a business at the moment. You're looking at manufacturing. Tell us about some of the processes that you had to learn, which you didn't necessarily learn in university.
Okay. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot I have to learn. You know,
Let's start with finance.
okay, fine. Let's start with finance. Okay. You know, everything takes money. You have to understand how a business is to run through cash flow. You can't run a business without money. So it's something that I have to understand how to spend and how to spend smart, how to save, because saving is very important in business. And I think those type of things are.
So what suggestions would you give to people that are planning to open their own businesses? Is there any specific course that you would suggest on kind of managing money, or does it just come about naturally?
I think that I would suggest someone to do a course in accounts. I know there's a course, an AAT course that's, the 2 year diploma. I think that that's something definitely very important. Accounts is the backbone of any business. It's very important to understand money. So I would say that anybody who's interested in opening a business, do a course in accounts, and you should be fine.
Anything else aside from the finance element? How has it been working with people?
I think that managing people is something which is very difficult. You need to have patience, you need to have compassion, you need to understand each person is different and how each person works. I think that's something that I found challenging. Being someone who's soft or softer, so has a softer nature, I found that you have to stand your ground and be firm, especially when you're in a leadership position. You have to get your employees to do work, to get the work done. It requires you to be strong, to be a leader, and to lead by example. I think that's something which took a lot of adjustment, but I am learning.
I've been privileged to have a tour by Mr. Khan at his agricultural manufacturing plant. Tell us, how do you think about sustainability in your plant? There's a lot of buzz around single-use plastic. There's buzz around sustainable farming. How do you think about that in your day-to-day manufacturing process?
Well, I think that sustainability is the future. I don't think that our current practices as the world, especially our industrial sector, is sustainable. I don't think that it's something that we can carry on going forward for our own children. So I think about it often. Me coming into this company as a young person, I've been speaking a lot about sustainable packaging. That's something which is very important. As you know, plastic is non-biodegradable, but there are people that are manufacturing certain plastics that you can use and dispose of safely that don't harm the environment. So I think of that often, as well as sourcing raw materials from local farmers, those farmers who need our support as an SME. I think that's something that we've been going into, and also advising them on sustainable practices, sustainable farming, what's important, and how to keep the environment in check.
Has the government played any role in helping out local entrepreneurs or local farmers through their journey of entrepreneurship?
the government of Botswana is very, very supportive of young farmers and young entrepreneurs in general, but I'll speak about farming because that's my expertise. They do offer many different schemes in different fields. At the moment, they do offer a scheme called Temoli Toto. That's more.
Temoli Toto.
Yes.
I'm learning Setswana as we go as well.
So that is more based towards crop farmers. So the government subsidizes seeds and as well as fertilizers for farmers, for young farmers to procure good quality seed and plant them, because that's something which is very important. The government also is willing to plow, fence, and even drill boreholes for young farmers, and they really want Botswana to be the next food basket of Africa.
That is very inspiring, but I think the issue that we face is not many people know about this. How can young entrepreneurs, young farmers get access to some of these programs you've spoken about?
Well, I think that right now we are in the age of digital media, and Botswana is lacking behind. I think that our ministries are lacking behind in terms of advertising. As you say, they don't necessarily have access to this, but visiting the offices, the relevant offices, the ministries, the people are very willing to help, be very helpful, and they will give you more information. They do have booklets, and I think that's how you can get that information.
Thank you. I'm going to be asking you to share some of that information to our Botswana viewers out there so that they can have access to these wonderful opportunities that the government is presenting. This is what Career Indaba is all about. It's about bringing real connections, bringing real examples, and helping people on a journey towards financial freedom and financial inclusion. Mohsin, what has been your biggest challenge to date?
I think, we did speak about it before. I think managing people has definitely been my biggest challenge, especially coming in as someone with no experience. People don't take that well. They didn't see me as their leader, and I had to prove myself. I had to prove that I am worth their respect, and that I'm here to improve, to innovate, and to improve their own lives.
And tell us about some of the things you have done to win over the hearts and minds of people.
That's a good question. I think that I've tried to spend more time listening to the employees and customers alike, what their problems are, and give them solutions to their problems. Understand why they're facing these issues, and just give them an ear. I think that goes a long way. Maybe that's something that they've never really experienced from a superior, but I try to show them some compassion and give them advice.
Thank you, Mohsin. Mohsin, for schoolgoers out there, tell us your journey about, moving from school to university to actually being in the workforce, and how that kind of shaped you as an individual. I think for many people it's daunting. You've come out of university, you've got this degree in your hand, and it's now what? But talk us through that process and talk us through some guidelines that can help people who are feeling daunted, who are feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can. You've done it. Tell us a bit more.
I think that don't think that your degree is going to take you is everything. It's important to have that knowledge, but you have to be humble. Remember that every day is a learning curve. I think that young people should always have an open mind when going into these new ventures, and not be afraid. Don't have fear, because mistakes are how we learn as people. So I went through a very similar experience of being thrown into the deep end, but you have to be adaptable, you have to adjust, and you have to have an open mind.
Be adaptable, adjust, and have an open mind. Those are definitely wise words, Mohsin. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about some of the kind of farming initiatives in the community that you're aware of, and how people can get involved.
Farming initiatives. I think that, again, I'll go back to the ministry. They do offer certain breeding programs for animals. They're willing to help you procure breeding stock to start with. It's called Tuoli Toto. It's also similar to that we spoke about.
Tuoli Toto.
Yes.
By the way, Mohsin is very well versed in Setswana, so he could practically do this entire interview in Setswana.
You took it. So that scheme offers young farmers, especially youth farmers, the opportunity to get good quality animals, be it cattle, sheep, goats, and even game. They are willing to accommodate and open doors for farmers to get into animal breeding, which is a big part of Botswana's farming system.
Thank you, Mohsin. We're going to break for now and we'll be back shortly.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. It's more than just an expo, it's a blueprint for Africa's future. The Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026, 15th to 16th May, Sandton Convention Center, 5,000 delegates, 100 exhibitors, 20 bootcamps. Career Indaba, where skills meet opportunities. This is where the impact gets real. Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. Live from 27 to 31 October, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. 5 days of bold action, live job bulletins, market access for SMEs, and skills pathways that open doors across Africa. Career Indaba, the voice of Africa's labor market. Hello Africa! Want to stay plugged into the world of work? Follow us at Career Indaba on LinkedIn, Instagram and X, and dive deeper at careerindaba.org. The conversation becomes a movement. The idea becomes an economy. This is not another event. It's an activation of Africa's potential. The Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026, where 5,000 delegates, 100 exhibitors, and 20 bootcamp zones collide to create the future of work. From youth innovators to corporate pioneers, from township traders to global brands, every voice counts. 2 days, one goal. Aligning Africa's skills with its opportunities. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026. 15th to 16th May, Sandton Convention Center, where skills meet, where Africa works.
And we're back. The final hour, the final half hour of Career Indaba Boardroom Takeover. I'm Khadija Dangor, Deputy Chair of our board here at Career Indaba, and we're talking SMEs, we're talking industrialization, we're talking green jobs. At Career Indaba, our aim is to lead with purpose and with passion, and with the ultimate goal of assisting you, our listeners, our viewers out there. We want to assist you with unemployment, underemployment, skills mismatches. We want to connect you to the public. We want to connect you to entrepreneurs. We want to activate access to jobs, activate access to bursaries, and to leadership programs. I'm joined in my boardroom today by Mohsin Khan, the General Manager of AgriVet, who is an agricultural feed manufacturer right here in Botswana. Mohsin has been telling us about his journey from school through to university and now into an SME. It's been a daunting journey, but it's been a challenging one. It's been an inspiring one. Mohsin, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Mohsin, I think I've got a kid myself, and I think if I have to ask my child if he thinks agriculture is cool, he probably will say no. How do we change that, and how do we change the perception about careers and jobs in the agricultural industry?
I think that people need to understand, people need to remember that we have to eat. Our food comes from farmers, comes from the land, we need farmers because that's the base of what we are as humans. I think that's important to teach the youth, especially our young kids, about why farming is important and how and how important it is in feeding the nation, in feeding the human beings. So I think that through that we can definitely change the narrative on farming and agriculture as a whole, and reinstate its importance.
Thank you, Mohsin. I think that's very, very important because food scarcity is a real first world problem. It's a second world problem. It's a third world problem. It's a global problem at the moment. There are so many people on this planet and we're unable to feed all of them. So I think in changing, as I said before, changing hearts and minds, this show is about changing hearts and minds. We need to change hearts and minds for people to understand the importance, for people to understand the reality that we're facing, and to be able to advance food sustainability in Botswana, in Africa, and across the globe ultimately. Mohsin, what sort of technical advances have you seen or are you seeing in other countries in the agricultural industry that are of particular interest to you, or something that you know that's sparked your interest?
Well, I've seen new farming systems, especially one called aquaponics, which is a system that requires no soil at all. Something that can be adopted in desert environments because you don't need the land, you just need a controlled environment, a closed warehouse or a greenhouse, basically. An aquaponics system is one which uses fish as well as vegetables and grows them in harmony, in a perfect balance almost. So the fish are grown in a tub or in a big tank, and they are fed naturally, and all the wastewater is used to feed the plants because obviously the fish excretion is a fertilizer for the plants. The plants are grown directly in this water, and the vegetables are produced through this. So all the water which is wasted from the fish goes directly into the plants, and I think that's a very smart system. It's something that we can use in Botswana and other desert systems where we struggle to farm on our arable land.
Sounds like a very sustainable and water-wise initiatives. Specifically will be good for Botswana, given, like you said, the arid lands, the drought, the desert areas. We're hoping when you come back next, you'll tell us that you've implemented it here.
Definitely something I'm thinking about.
So as we talk about that, tell us about your own personal vision for yourself and for your company.
Well, I think that for now, I have to humble myself and be willing to learn, be willing to absorb and learn from those who have experience, those who burnt their fingers in different aspects. And for now, that's where I stand. But going forward, I want to be a leader. I want to be someone who can advance Botswana in agriculture and otherwise. I want to be someone who's known to farm sustainably, to encourage farmers to be sustainable, to avoid practices which are damaging or unethical. I find that a lot of farming systems that we use nowadays are unethical. It's all about the money and not really about the welfare of the animal. I think that's something which I would like to personally drive and change.
Mohsin Khan, the ethical farmer. I love that. Mohsin, we've spoken a lot about the challenges that you face coming through university, going into the workplace. Tell us about some of the highlights, because it's not, I'm sure it's not just lowlights. There must be some highlights. So tell us about some of the highlights of your career and some about the exciting things and the things that make you get out of bed in the morning.
I think that you learn every day. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm learning new things every day. Something which is very inspiring for me is getting to meet different people. I meet customers who have been in the farming game or in the agricultural industry for many years. I speak to them. I get insight. I understand why they started and what their vision is. Beyond that, I've been meeting up with other agricultural businessmen or other businessmen who run agribusiness, and it's always inspiring to speak to them and understand how did they build themselves, how are they successful, So meeting new people is something which is definitely been the highlight of my experience.
I think you touched on something that's very, very important. You touched on in the previous one on ethical farming. You touched on highlighting the importance of farming, highlighting the importance of food security. What do you do in your personal capacity to try and be an advocate for this and to try and be a voice for this?
Well, I mean, in all the conversations I have, I always speak about ethical farming. I try and open people's eyes to the truth and what farming can be. It can be a nasty business. It can be something which really depletes the land. People need to understand that big farms are really nice. Big commercial farms, they look beautiful, but they are depleting of the land unless we learn to give back to the land. We learn to nurture it, to care for it, and to always be sustainable in all our practices. So I think that's something which I always speak about and I always try and educate people on.
As a sustainable farmer and an advocate for sustainability, you're also a business owner. How do you balance the sustainability with profitability?
Well, I think that sustainability and profitability can go hand in hand. I don't think that they're enemies. It's important that you experiment on ways to be more sustainable while still taking profits, because that's what's important. And at the end of the day, we all need to feed our families. So it's something that takes time, it takes planning, it takes strategic planning, but it's definitely achievable.
Thank you, Mohsin. Mohsin, we're going to end now, but I'm going to ask you to give us some words of wisdom to all the youth out there. Any final thoughts?
Well, from my side, I think that we all capable of great things. I think that the youth of Botswana, especially, are positioned in a unique space. Government is more than willing to assist. It just takes us to stand up, take the initiative, work hard, be ethical. Don't forget, integrity is very important. Cutting corners, taking shortcuts is not the way forward. It's always important to stay true to your beliefs. And I think that everybody is capable of being a business owner and being successful in this world.
Thank you, Mohsin. I think those are some very, very wise words. Don't cut corners, be ethical, be honest about what you do. Everybody is capable. Mohsin, how do people reach out to you? How do they reach out to you to find out about some of the initiatives you're running and to get some advice and mentorship from you?
We have a Facebook page as well as TikTok right now. So we're always available. We have our numbers all over socials. Just give us a call. We'll be more than willing to assist you, to take you through these initiatives.
And then earlier you spoke about some job openings that you may have. How do we get individuals who are job seekers? How do we connect them with people like you who are looking for graduates or looking for employees? How do they reach out? Is it also through your social media?
I think that we primarily use our social media as a platform of advertising. If ever we have vacancies, we do post them on our Facebook page. That's where we have our primary following. So looking through that, you'll always see our email address is available, always open, and our number lines are always open for calls as well.
Thank you, Mohsin. So for all the job seekers out there, check out his page. He's got some openings. This is what Career Indaba is all about. It's about bringing real people, real business owners in touch with real graduates and connecting the dots, connecting the two, making the connections, having real world conversations and real world connections. Mohsin Khan, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can see you are very nervous, but there's no need to be nervous. I'm sure you'll be doing a lot more of these as you trailblaze through the agricultural industry, as you're a pioneer for sustainability, a pioneer for ethical farming. Thank you, Mohsin. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Khadija. It's been a pleasure on my side too.
Thank you. We'll pause for a short break as we wrap up.
This is not just another talk show. It's the pulse check of a working continent. The job market, where policy meets people and numbers meet names. From factories to futures, from data to dignity. We don't just count jobs, we build them. The job market, only on Career Indaba Impact Week, the Boardroom Takeover. Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we fuel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry. Hello Africa! Want to stay plugged into the world of work? Follow us at Career Indaba on LinkedIn, Instagram and X, and dive deeper at careerindaba.org. Future-proofing skills for economic growth. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp. 15th to 16th of May 2026 is Africa's boldest sector-aligned and solution-driven career development event designed to bridge the skills gap, unlock real unemployment pathways, and future-proof talent across over 20 industries. From the boardrooms of Sandton to the villages of rural South Africa, we are pulling the entire country into one decisive moment to tackle unemployment, close the skills gap, and future-proof our workforce. The conversation becomes a movement. The idea becomes an economy. This is not another event. It's an activation of Africa's potential. The Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026, where 5,000 delegates, 100 exhibitors, and 20 bootcamp zones collide to create the future of work. From youth innovators to corporate pioneers, from township traders to global brands, every voice counts. 2 days, one goal. Aligning Africa's skills with its opportunities. Career Indaba Expo and Bootcamp 2026. 15th to 16th May, Sandton Convention Center, where skills meet, where Africa works.
And we're back as we wrap up the Career Indaba Boardroom Takeover Week. I'm Khadija Dangor, Deputy Chairperson of Career Indaba, and I must say it's been a long and exhaustive week, but it's been a jam-packed week. We were live from the 27th to the 31st of October. I've got the last segment, the graveyard shift, so to speak. I think the team behind the crew, the crew behind the scenes is also very tired. You can see I'm getting my words all mixed up. But let's recap. Let's recap what this week has been about. Let's recap my show before we close off and enjoy a nice weekend. So this week we've had some wonderful programs on Career Indaba. We've had programs which spotlight real issues facing the continent's labor market, from job creation to labor market transformation, SME development, youth employability. We connected listeners to opportunities. We had job opportunities. We had learnerships, mentorships, bursaries, holiday works, SME funding programs. We brought it all to you, our job seekers, here at Career Indaba. We were live for the whole week. We had a number of youth plug shows, SME drives, and we had a whole host of wonderful guests that joined us throughout the week. A big shout out and a big thank you to Kani, our leader, our CEO at Career Indaba, for putting this all together. At the end of the day, Kani's purpose and passion shines through. We thank her from the team at Career Indaba. What a great initiative and what a great week it's been. We were streaming live this week on all social media platforms, X, LinkedIn, YouTube. Our hope at the end of the day is just to connect people. We want to make a difference. We want to tell our stories. We want to make sure that we make a difference. Today in my show, we were joined by the Economic Development Board, who spoke about SMEs, who spoke about some of the initiatives that the Mauritius government is running through the Economic Development Board to assist and aid SMEs on their journey towards entrepreneurship. They spoke about a win-win situation where they encourage SMEs, where they teach them about export readiness, they teach them about ICT skills, they teach them about wellness. They've got They've got initiatives around trade and investment and how to promote it, how to promote advertising, digital advertising. So for anyone looking, please go and see the EDC, that's the Economic Development Board's website, and they will connect you to some of those schemes and those initiatives we spoke about. We were then joined in studio by some amazing entrepreneurs. So from Mauritius, we had Arshad Boiru from My Tea Box in Mauritius, and he spoke about his journey towards sustainability, but he also spoke about his love for tea, his passion for tea, his passion for also for sustainability. He spoke about risk. He spoke about moving outside of your boundaries. A lot of lessons learned from that segment, solving real world problems, having clear visions, having co-founders that you can depend on. So a lot of gems. Please listen to the podcast. It was amazing. We had a lot of inspiration from Arshad from My Tea Box. We were then joined by a fantastic lady, Nicole Roberts from Lash Out, who told us that there is a life if you're not a university graduate, and there are lots of things you can do as a non-university graduate. She spoke about the beauty industry, and she spoke about her business, Lash Out, in the beauty industry, and she showed us how to take passion into profit by learning holistic skills, not just technical skills, understanding how to manage a business, understanding how to manage cash flows, understanding how to order goods from suppliers, all important skills which she also teaches during her training course on lashes. So it's not just about lashes, but it's about running a holistic business. We then met with Wazila Nuzmi from Urban Arts by W, an inspirational woman who's brought the element of corporate social responsibility into the ethos of her business. Her business is all about art, it's all about helping kids, it's all about, well, not just kids, helping everybody. But doing so in a sustainable way, and doing so by giving back. So at the heart of her business, model is corporate social responsibility, and she donates a portion of her profits to charitable organizations across Africa every single year. An inspirational woman, a trailblazer in the industry. She's changing hearts and minds about turning art not just into hobby, but making careers and making livelihoods out of art. And finally, we were joined by Mohsin Khan, SME owner, young graduate who is running an agricultural feed manufacturing business. He spoke about his challenges, he spoke about sustainable farming, and he's spoken about the importance of understanding eco-friendly and eco-conscious decisions. What a jam-packed week we had. It's been a fantastic week. We hope that each of you got a lot of gems. I know I certainly did as a non-entrepreneur myself, as a corporate girl myself. It was fantastic to hear all these lessons around grit, lessons around passion, lessons around love, around determination, around risk-taking, lessons around courage, lessons around asking for help and not being afraid to ask for help, leveraging what's around you, leveraging your networks, and depending on other people, learning to know your skills and to leverage other people and to recognize complementary skill sets, all important lessons in your entrepreneurship journey. We will be posting all of these lessons on our page, on our Instagram and our Facebook pages, and we implore the people out there listening today to go onto our pages and take away some of these real examples that we bring, some of the initiatives that are available here in Botswana by the government of Botswana for agricultural farmers, some of the initiatives that our SME owners have volunteered, so the mentorship programs that have been volunteered by our SME ownerships, some of the jobs that are available to you, the youth out there. Please look us up, like, share, click and share, and this is what it's all about. It's about sharing, it's about conversations, and it's about making real world connections. I'm about to wrap up. We're in the last kind of 10 minutes of Career Indaba. Let's just wrap up and let's just tell you a little bit about why we do this and why we come and we show up every single day. I'm just going to recap and go back once again to the beginning and tell you a little bit about who we are, what we're doing, and what you can see coming up in the future. So I've already mentioned this, but I will say it again. We are a non-profit company. We're incorporated in South Africa under the Companies Act. And our vision is to lead with passion and to lead with purpose. If we can make a difference in one person's life, then I'm happy, then I'm smiling, and then I can end off the week with a big bang. We are all about connecting the public to tangible opportunities in real time, activating access to jobs, activating access to bursaries. We will soon be running a Career Indaba Expo. Please look out for us. Check out our socials where we want to connect job seekers to companies. We want to connect them to skills. We want to give them the tools they need to become financially independent and to ensure that they are included in the financial economy. Our role is really just to give back to people, to the community, and to you, our listeners. I'm Khadija. Thank you for joining us. It's been a wonderful, wonderful week. We've learned so much. We've heard so many stories. We've heard so many personal stories that have been so inspiring. We hope we've inspired you. That is our aim. Our aim is to inspire. Our aim is to help. We sign off at the end of Career Indaba Career Week. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week ahead.
Africa runs on the small, the bold, the unstoppable. SME Drive, the heartbeat of the real economy. From spaza shops to boardrooms, we feel builders and believers, the makers, the movers, the markets. SME Drive, where hustle becomes industry.